Hi, everybody. Today, Carrie and I have been discussing some choices we made when we were new parents or new at parenting. And we were wondering if we would do the same things today. So have a listen and let us know what you think. Hi, Carrie.
Hello there. I'm excited for these topics as I probably, in general, I'm going to say probably with two different things now as a more experienced parent, but let's go way back.
Way back,
Let's
like
start with
day one.
day one, nursing or bottle feeding. What
Okay.
did you do and how did it go and why? Why
So
did you
I
make
went
that
in
choice?
thinking it was going to be like it is like whatever you would imagine it to be, like this bonding experience. Your baby latches on and you can do it wherever, however, and it would be just a beautiful experience. So Avery was born, and my sister-in-law was in the room and just threw her on my breast. And I was completely unprepared for the whole experience of it. And there were it was
Did
it's
you
not
take
that I
any wait, did you take any parenting courses? Like,
so we did
how to
do a
care
we
for a
did
newborn and
we did
did they go
our
over that? Like what to do if you that was your choice?
you know what, now I honestly I don't remember. I
Okay.
remember more of the birthing scenarios than I do the afterwards.
Okay.
um so I tried really hard to love nursing. Avery did not latch on well.
Yeah.
So for the first 9 months of her life, I was pumping and bottle feeding. And for
Right.
anybody who's done all that, who knows all the
That
parts
is
that
yeah.
come,
That's a commitment.
it
That's a
was a
huge
yes.
commitment.
Yep. So finally, after 9 months, I weaned her, and then I got pregnant almost immediately after that with Cody. And Cody, I said, "You know what? I'm not beating myself up over this," because I had long discussions with my OB about it. And she said to me that a happy mom equals a happy baby.
Yeah.
And it as long as your child is getting the nutrition that they need, you have to do what feels best for you, because there were definitely stigmas around it and judgment. Are you nursing, or you're stopping, or are you only pumping, or all of and I was consumed with all of it. So now Cody's born, Avery's still a toddler, and I tried with him, and he was a little better, but I honestly I didn't love it. And I know that sounds like it's not supposed to sound. I'm supposed to say it was so wonderful and it gave me all the warm fuzzies, but it didn't. And
No, I mean, it's that's just being real, right?
yeah,
Like,
well,
being real about how you feel about it and probably the fact that you were a little anxious about it going into it probably affected how your body reacted
maybe.
to the process,
Yeah.
right? For moms who are so looking forward to it and really enjoy it, it's probably a much better experience
Yes.
than the ones. And also, I'm assuming you did not work, like you stopped working when you had two smalls
Yes,
together?
I was yeah,
Okay.
I was a yes, I was a
Yeah.
stay-at-home mom after Avery was born and after Cody was born. With Cody, I did pump again
Okay.
for maybe 6 months, and then once Jackson was born, I knew how I felt about it. I pumped for maybe a week or 2, and that was it.
Yeah. So I went back to work
Oh,
after
okay.
having my first.
So
So
did you nurse? Did you
I
go
did.
into it
I
thinking you
nursed.
were going to,
I
or
did. So my mom, I was born 1970. So in 1970, from my mom's mouth, like her story was no moms her age were nursing and she really wanted to. And her mom kind of tried to talk her out of it, but she felt very strongly about wanting to nurse me as a baby. So she definitely was a pioneer and like stood out. Like she was not embarrassed by it. This is what she was going to do. She was committed to it. So I had that in my head as I was pregnant and giving birth to my oldest, that yeah, I should probably nurse. But I wanted to. So I did nurse, and I had mixed feelings about it. It wasn't so comfortable. It hurt. I had the lactation specialist in the hospital. Someone came to my house after. I had a whole system going on for it to actually be comfortable and
Mhm.
for actually work. Like, and nowadays, excuse me, they had all the boppies and things that you would wrap around your waist to like hold the baby. But I found this one that actually Velcroed on you. It was called My Breast Friend. And literally, I would walk around the house with that thing on
Okay.
because with my first, I just felt like I was nursing all day long. So like even when he was done and fell asleep, like I still had that thing wrapped around me and I'd walk around because I knew he was going to be up soon. And
Right, just to maneuver and get it back on and everything, you were
it
always
was a
prepared.
whole system. But I did eventually enjoy it and it did work really well for me during my maternity leave. So that went well, but I did return back to work after 3 months, and I was a consultant, so I was at um, a client's site. So I had to use their room that they provided. There happened to be another mom at the same time who was
Okay.
also using the room for pumping. So it was kind of like this designated space, but they put us in a room that was like a break room and had a refrigerator. So people that worked there were storing their lunches and their food and snacks there too. So I felt a lot of pressure. Like I had to time my pumping around when people wouldn't be coming to get their food for lunch or snack or whatever. So it definitely created a little anxiety for me because I didn't want people to be knocking on the door in the process of pumping. Because for those of you who are out there who have pumped, it's like a whole process, right? You're lifting up your shirt, you're attaching these things, you're trying to position them in a way so you don't have to hold them the whole time because it takes a little bit. So you want to be like multitasking and doing something else, reading, or I was doing some work at the same time. I did not have my own office, so I was going into this spot, but honestly, it didn't last for very long because I got so nervous about people because I did have people knocking on the door to wanting to come in.
Sure, at lunchtime.
So at
"Can I just
first
grab
I
my lunch?"
at first I rearranged my pumping schedule around it, but then you could never guess, at 10 o'clock, someone might want to come in for a snack. Like, who knows? And I wasn't that comfortable putting up the sign like pumping in
Right, of
progress.
course.
So, anyway, I'm not sure. I think I did it for another month and I'd had stuff stored. So, I think in total, right, I just kind of nursed my oldest at night. And eventually, by 6 months, I weaned him off just because it wasn't working for me
Right.
anymore with work. And so I think that's but with my younger son, I had stopped working. So I was able to do that obviously in the privacy of my own home. We didn't have to coordinate working, but I was not a public nurser. Like I wasn't very comfortable with it.
Okay.
We had taken a trip over the summer and I trying to find a spot in North Carolina at Lake Lore in like a sweaty camp bathroom to nurse was kind of
Uncomfortable
made
at
me
the
rethink,
right.
my nursing habits. But
So how long did you nurse your 2nd?
Um, like 10, 11 months. So I was
Okay.
trying to shoot for a year, but I didn't make I think, again, I probably during the day bottle fed and maybe nursed at night up to the
Okay.
year, but it was probably a 10, 11 months.
So then
Um,
here's the question. What would you do differently? Or would you do the same thing?
so I would probably do the same thing. I definitely would nurse again. I probably, with my first, would have been a little bit more outspoken and prepared and worked with the client, like to go in a more private place so that I could do the pumping on my schedule and
Right.
speak up for myself. I think I was a little timid about really advocating for myself um, over that. But I think I would have done it again. I would have nursed again. And but yeah, I probably would have
Okay.
spoken up for myself and find a private place. But I think in the end, when we're talking about nursing and bottle feeding, like your doctor said, as long as the baby is being fed and getting the proper nutrients, I think the mom just has to decide for herself what she's comfortable with.
Right.
And either way, right? Either way,
Sure. I
it's
right.
yes, obviously our bodies may like naturally make milk, but like it doesn't work for everyone and
No.
everyone's body. So, what about you? Would you do the same thing again or
Um, I think I would definitely want to try, but I would think I would also give myself more grace in the decision that I made and not worry and stress so much about if I was hurting the baby or what other people were thinking about my decision. I would hopefully start from the point of I have to do what's best for me in order to take care of my baby as best as I can.
yeah, yeah. All right,
All
so let's
right.
move on to our next topic.
Our next topic,
We have
co-sleeping or allowing your children to sleep in your bed as they grow up. Did you do it as a baby? Carrie, you start. Did your kids sleep in your bed?
no, they did not. So, I
Was it a
think
conscious choice? Was
yes,
it
of
okay?
all of the skills as a new mom or trying to get my newborn on a schedule, like sleep to me was the priority in the
Mhm.
list of things as a new parent and for my newborn that I was trying to accomplish. So I read all the books on sleeping habits and what as parents you can do to help get your child on a good sleep schedule. Like I followed all of those bullet points or all those
Sure.
recommendations. So no, my children did not sleep in the bed. However, as newborns with the nursing, yes, I had a bassinet next to my bed.
Same.
And actually, there, my husband, I had taken time off from work, but he was still working. And he was so, so helpful because I wouldn't go to the baby's room during those first few months and nurse there. They were in their bassinet next to
Mhm.
my bed. And our process was that I would pick up the baby, especially in the middle of the night, nurse the baby, wake him up, change, and then do the other
He would
side
put him
and
back
put
to
the
bed.
baby back. And he was so, I mean, I don't think that most husbands, partners, dads would do that. He was so, so helpful in that regard. I honestly
Okay.
can't remember if I even asked his or if I just said, "This is what we're doing. I really need your help." Um, but anyway, so sleeping, they were next to me in the bassinet. But then by 3, 4 months, I think 4 months to me was the transition where I would move them to their
So
crib
okay.
in their bed, and then, yes, I would go in because my kids until about 6 months still were waking up in the middle
Right.
of the night or like that 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yep.
So I would go to their room, nurse them there, put them back. And then as they got older with sleeping, no, like I tried really hard. Like, yeah, they might come and cuddle in bed, they might watch TV with us in
Yep.
bed,
Mhm.
but I would go to their room if they came in the middle of the night to, that they had a nightmare or a dream, or I had one, my older son had night terrors, but I would make it a point to go to their room. And honestly, the only time I even remember them even sleeping in our room, which they were older, I brought a mattress in during one of the hurricanes in South Florida. But that
Okay.
was it. Like I was strict about this is not your bed.
Right.
You're not sleeping here. I would go to them, and I think they both had trundles, so if I needed to stay longer in their
Mhm.
room, I would just pull the trundle out,
Yep.
but no, I that was one thing, and my kids, I'm not saying it's all, "Oh, because I did everything, I
Right.
followed the rule," but, like, they were good sleepers. They were
Okay.
on a schedule. What about you?
So I started out the same as you, bassinet with newborns next to the bed. They transitioned to the crib around the same time, and like you, it definitely was clear in my mind that my kids were not sleeping in my bed, and it was for me. It was felt that I needed the sleep, and I would not be able to function and take care of them the next day if I didn't get good sleep. And when they would wake up, um, more as toddlers when they transitioned into their own beds, if for whatever reason they had a nightmare or they needed something in the middle of the night, I would walk them back to their bed and lay with them in their bed, rub their back or whatever it is they needed to get back to sleep, and then go back to bed. So it's interesting because my sleep was interrupted, but the thought of I just needed to be comfortable in my own bed. I
Yeah,
was fine laying with them in theirs, but it was just my own in from my own comfort, I guess. I just
right.
needed them to be in their own beds. Um, when they were sick, we would pull a mattress into our room, either an air mattress or a trundle bed or whatever, the trundle mattress, whatever it was. And we would call that the sick bed, and they would sleep on our floors. Um, and like you, they would come in to cuddle or watch TV before going to bed, whatever it was, but sleeping was in their bed. And if I had to do it again, I don't know. Like some stuff and studies that I read now talk about the bonding that takes place and how soothing it could be for the babies to sleep with their mom or their dad or both. And I don't know. I have to say I would do it again the same way, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, didn't you say, I think this is a side conversation, but don't you have a client who had
Yes.
their children and multiple
Yes.
children
Yes. Yes.
in the
Yes.
bed?
Yes. I did work with someone who sh- they their kids all slept in their cribs as babies,
How many
but
kids?
3 kids
Okay.
and separate, each of them. They were spaced apart, and then they would each as they became toddlers, they would sleep in bed with the parents.
Was that initiated by the parent or
I
the
feel
toddler
like
decided?
I feel like it was mom initiated, more of not wanting to separate, like, her wanting the bonding time with her children. And, um, that worked for her, and
Right.
her kids, aside from some issues we were working on, her kids were well adjusted. So, I mean, there could be
Was there
something
a
said.
time frame? Like, because if she had multiple children, right? Did she
So,
spend a year with one sleeping in her bed and then transition them back and then the next
no,
one?
there
Like,
wasn't a time frame. It was it I I think it was still, whoever wanted to come in and sleep, they could sleep. They
Right. So it was decided by the child. Well, the child initiated their
So,
how
okay, so I
long
believe
they would
so it
stay
was
there.
my client decided, let's g I think it was more of, I don't think it was, "This child's gonna sleep in my bed tonight." It was more like, "Let's go lay down and get ready for bed," and once they fell asleep, they were just left there, so it
Okay.
became
So it
almost like
became
a
a
habit.
routine. Yeah,
Yeah,
almost
a
a
routine,
routine
a
that
habit,
they
yes.
did.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then sometimes the kids would be moved into their bed, whatever it was, but listen, it worked for them, so
Right.
no
Right.
judgment
I don't know.
here
That
on
gets
that.
into, a topic of, do parents, like in that regard, right, with the sleeping, is it about the parent? Is it about the mom having a need that she wants met with the bonding and closeness with her child being in her bed versus what's best for the child to establish, good sleep habits for themselves or self-soothing, all those skills. Like there are a lot of skills learned when you go to your own bed and
Sure,
you have your routine and maybe you cry yourself to sleep as a baby, right? We follow,
right.
was it the Ferber method? I don't know if you guys did that, but
No, we did not.
okay, we did. So it was a 3-night thing where you would let them cry or
Yes, I
and
know what
most
it is, and
habits.
I'm not in favor of it. That is something
Yes.
that I would not
We yep,
do.
we did it, and I used it for other the pacifier. I had like this three night, 3-day thing. If you wanted to
Right.
implement a new habit, give it 3 days. Yeah. So okay. So do you think it was about the needs of the mom versus
I don't think
the
it
needs
was,
of the
oh, so
child?
I really believe that for this particular client, it started out as bonding, and then it grew, like, out of just pure exhaustion from the day, like, just she was a working mom, and just it was just easier to wind down the day together with her kids.
Okay.
So,
Do you know if there was conversation with, I'm assuming, was she married, first of all? Was there
yes,
a
mhm.
part? Okay. Did she have a conversation with her husband?
I
Because I
No,
was
I don't believe so, and then it was, that was an issue that they were having because the husband wanted to end it,
yeah,
and
because
she
how does
wasn't.
that affect the intimacy
It
with
does,
your
100. How could it
husband
not?
when there's another a child in the bed every night with you? I think that that would could be a problem. But
Yes.
are they still married now?
Yep. They are still
Okay.
married, happily.
Okay, well,
So, yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. So, would you change anything? I don't know if you answered. Would you do anything differently with your sleeping
Hmm. Um, I I definitely still would make sleep a priority. I don't know if I would be so strict and stringent with like how I viewed it
Mhm.
because I definitely like had the line in the sand, where sleeping with me, sleeping in your own bed, that whole thing was very maybe I would have been a little bit more lenient about it,
Right.
or I don't know, maybe even communicate more with my husband about it. I don't know that that's something that we discussed how that was going to go and got his input. Like I think I really just decided and went with it. So I
Okay.
think I would have had more of an open
Discussion about it.
conversation about it
That's
before
fair.
just making that choice.
Okay.
But I did love the bedtime routine though. I
Yes.
really did. I know some parents like don't care for it or they get anxious. How's it going to go? How many excuses is the kid going to have? But I did love that time
I
with my
loved it
children.
I loved it up until the time that my kids stayed up later than I did, like, until recently. That
Yeah.
I feel like you get so much out of that time. I love that time.
Yeah.
Definitely miss that time.
Yeah. All right. So let's go on to another topic. And this I don't think we had to deal with as much as younger parents than today new parents are dealing with. So this is about electronics at the dinner table, including at the table, at restaurants.
Okay.
So, do parents allow tablets, phones, they're not even called Game Boys anymore, whatever game, they just play games on their phone.
Electronics at the dinner table.
Electronics at the dinner table.
Okay.
Did you do it?
So when it became when my kids got their phones or their iPads, whatever electronic they were using at the time, this is a hard no. No electronics at the dinner table. Period.
What
End
about
of
at
story.
restaurants? Was there a different rule or same rule?
No. Same rule. No electronics at the dinner table. Just did not go. While I have been to restaurants. We were just at a restaurant last night where every child there had a tablet, so much so that the noise from the tablets was louder than the conversations people were having. So I I I don't understand how it got to that point. For me and for my children when we were in restaurants, we would on the children's menus and the crayons when they would give that out at certain restaurants, they would have drawing contests. Okay, draw me your favorite summer activity, draw me, whatever the drawing was at that point.
Yeah, I liked the activity sheets, right, where they
Yes,
would
and
have
some restaurants
word
had
search.
those what were they called? The sticks. I remember them at I think maybe Cheesecake Factory or Grand Lux, they have those like wiki sticks,
Yeah.
like you know what I'm talking, like the
Yeah, I do,
wax
where
sticks that you
where
could
you
build
play.
into.
Yep.
Yeah, you could turn them into things. Um
Yeah, do you think
I
do parents today okay, so this is an honest question that I have. Do parents today, new parents today, right? They obviously still carry the big diaper bag or backpack, but we had all sorts of activities in there.
yes.
Right? Like the crayons and the coloring books and little handheld things that they would play with to manipulate or puzzles or like do parents still carry those things or
I
no?
don't know, or is
All
it
they
just
need
the
is the
phone or their I
diapers, the wipes, a change of clothes, and they just pull out their phone,
yeah, new
right? Like,
parents, let us know. Tell us, drop us a line. Tell us
yeah,
what's in your diaper bag?
yeah, what what's in your diaper bag?
So, I just I guess my question is why? What is it just easier to hand them a phone than to have a conversation? And then what's going to happen when this generation goes out to dinner with their first significant other? Are they all just going to be sitting there on their phones? Are they going to know what to do in a restaurant? What is it going to look like?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of communication and modeling that's not happening from parents to little children right now because there is the use of electronic devices, right? If you allow as parents, right, you go to dinner, you have your kids with you, even the parents are looking on their phone,
100%.
checking
Yes.
social media, responding to text messages, right? Like there's not that was the time when we were younger where you would have conversation, where you would talk to the wait staff or do things in the restaurant like we used to play I Spy, right? Like or just that's where
Yep.
you talk about your
Well,
day or
right. You talk
sharing or the
even
parent would talk about anything coming up for the next day. Like that
right.
was the time. That's all
Scheduling
small
a
talk, right? That's
small
missing. There's
yes.
no
What
like
happened to the small talk?
kids nowadays are like uncomfortable with small talk. It is
It's
turned
true.
into just text messages and some of the words that they use. I mean, but that's the thing. Like that would even be a great conversation to have at the dinner table with, elementary, middle school age children. Hey, kids, tell us all these little you know, words that you guys are using that
Have
they
you seen
text to
all
each
of
other.
those? I've seen them
Yes.
all popping up
Yes.
on
Yes,
on
some of
different
the
social media
TikToks
sites.
with
Yes.
the parents actually where I've seen it where the teenagers are testing the parents about
If
the
they
words. Do they know what they mean? And and they put the mom and the dad against each other. Like, all right,
I haven't
you know
seen
what
those yet.
sus
That's
is? SUS, and then the
right,
parent
right,
has
right.
to chime in. Super. I mean, that would be such a fun game to play at a dinner table.
Yes, there are so many. You just have to be creative. I'm really curious why the phones at the dinner table? Like it's not from a place of judgment. I'm
Curious.
super
Yeah.
curious.
Well,
Why?
I think is it easier? Does it make the event, so the outing, easier for the adults if their children are quiet and occupied? So they can sit, have a quiet meal without possibly the child having a tantrum, not eating, throwing their food, whatever kids do. But
Yes, I
does it
can
just make
understand that
it
part,
easier?
but to that I would just say they're missing out on so much valuable interaction.
Yeah. Well, what
So
about the
many.
families that do it and are doing it now? Do you think that they're feeling like alone and isolated? Like, well, all the other kids' parents are allowing different things when they go out, right? So, what happens if you go out to dinner, right?
Can't we say that about any
Yeah. Sure.
parenting
Any
that
topic.
comes up? Any
Yeah.
parenting issue that comes up?
Yeah.
Well, this parent isn't doing it this way, and I mean, isn't that what we try not to talk about? Judging people for their decisions and just being curious about them?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm truly curious. Like, why just hand them a
Well, and
a
I also
tablet?
think that parents, right, they're busy. And so maybe the mom or the dad is still kind of working, even though they're out to dinner with the family. Like they're
Okay,
handling a crisis at work, or they're waiting for a text back for a client meeting, and they're still going to answer the message during the time with their family,
right.
right? Like that is probably what's some of what's happening. So that's a tough position to
Well,
be,
I
right?
have to
Can
right.
parents just shut it down and not respond till after the meal? I mean, certainly at home. At home, right? What does the meal dinner time look like? It could be 10 minutes, right? It could be 20, but it's not
Right.
that long period of time that I feel like the parents can avoid, right? Not even have the phones anywhere near the table.
But then if
So,
a work issue comes up, if a work issue arises during dinner time and you hear your phone go off and you answer it as the parent, are you teaching your kids that you value your work? Your work is important. These are things that have to be handled. Can you wait the 10 minutes, the 15 minutes? Can you say I'll get right back to you? I'm having dinner with my family, it's an interesting
yeah, I mean, obviously it's
situation.
for each, right? And I guess it also depends on what your role is in your job, right?
Right.
Like, are you a detective or a police op, right? Like that's
Right.
something is more urgent versus you're in customer service or,
Right.
trying to schedule something for 2 days from, now where
Right.
but again, it's up to the parents setting their own boundaries like you said about what is important to that family and what message are they trying to send to their child, right? If you
Absolutely.
don't allow the phones at the table, then as the parent, you shouldn't take yours out, right? Why are the rules different
Right. You can't be a
for
do as I
you?
say, be a do as I do parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I personally like my kids are older, in their 20s now. They didn't have phones.
What
So
happens when you go out for dinner now?
everyone puts their phone away. Yep. Nope. They put their phone and we actually would play a game and we would do this a lot on vacation. all phones in the center of the table, and if whoever goes to grab it first during the meal has to pay for the dinner.
I like that one.
Yeah. So, but then there's the problem with, a lot of people take pictures of their meals now, right? So you're like, "Can I grab my
What
phone to take a picture of the food?" Well,
I'm
no.
curious about that one too, but
What about you
um,
guys? What do you do?
it's just we try not to be on our phones, but it's interesting because it does come up where if somebody has a question, "Oh, what was that actress's name from the movie?" And, "Oh,
Yes.
wait, let me just check." And then
Yes.
they look at that as their,
Yes.
you know, that's excused, but
Yeah.
nothing centers around our phones. For the most part, they are still away and nobody is on them.
Yeah. I'm gonna step out on one thing. So while we're talking about phones, and I know this is so hard for me to do, but it's something that I've done for my own mental health and for my sleep, the quality of my sleep now. Like, as a parent of young adults, one still in college, one just graduated college. So I do not have my phone next to me when I sleep. I know there are not a lot of parents that do this. I charge my phone in a completely different place, and it's actually like silenced, because the years that they were teenagers, even first away at college, having the phone next to me created so much anxiety that it really was not good for my mental health, and I had major issues with sleep.
Mm.
So, I understand it's a really, really difficult
So I do have a question.
decision. Yes.
Do you have a landline?
Nope. Nope. And this is I know.
Wait,
Nope.
I'm not done. One more. If did What about Ken? Is his next to
So Ken's is next to him, but turned down. So, like, if someone called, the ringer, you wouldn't hear a phone call, but if someone texted, it would make, like a vibration sound, like a sound. So,
and do you have your kids on the bypass, like their emergency? Like if they need to
no,
get you, they would go
no,
through no matter what?
no. So, I'm not coming up from a place of naivete, because
No.
we have had several emergencies and crises that have happened in our lifetimes of having a 22 and 24-year-old and having parents in their 70s and 80s, right? So I have had many, many emergencies. But what I have learned, and I'm not telling anyone what to do,
Sure.
like, this is
This
just
is
my decision. If there have been emergencies, right? In an emergency, if your child is not there with you, or if your parent is not there with you, and there is a true, true emergency, yes, you would know about it and you would be woken up at 3:15 a.m. But what can you do about it? If you're not there, right? Like, that, this is how I view it. And again, it's only because it has happened to me over and over and over. And I just decided for myself that the stress that came with it being next to me, and either checking it often or whatever it is, was so bad for my mental health that I had to make a different choice. So I am okay with it. Should there be an emergency at 3:15 a.m. and I don't know about it till 6 a.m., I will deal with those consequences. What
Carrie, I
about
give you
you?
a lot of credit. I really, really do. I can't do it. I cannot do it yet. 16, 19, just about 21. I can't do it yet. My phone is charging next to my bed.
Yep. I know. I even have friends who so I have 2 sons. So I don't know if people are like, "Well, because you have sons, it's not like
No,
you have a daughter roaming around New York City." I don't know. I can't speak to that. I have sons. But I do have a friend who has older daughter 3 daughters. I mean, they're mid to late 20s. She has to have it next to, like, I need to know if there's an emergent, and okay, again, I'm
you're
not
right. What
judging
are you
somebody else. I'm just stating my position.
your
But
opinion, that's what you do for your mental health, and I'm curious, has it changed your sleeping patterns?
oh
Do you
my
see
god, yeah. Like I it's not like I wake up in the morning and run to my phone anymore to see, did I miss something? Was there a missed call? Was there a text? I don't check, I don't check Life 360 anymore.
and when
I'm
did you
not
stop?
looking at what
When did
time.
you when did you
I would
institute this
say this was
practice?
probably 1 year ago to 1 year and a half ago. So, let's just say they were 2021 or 23.
Okay. Alright, so I have
Yeah.
time to
So
catch
it's
up to you.
it's new. It's newish, but no, it has
Yes.
changed the quality of my sleep. It obviously not looking at my phone before I go to bed is better for me also.
I believe it's better for everybody. I just think we've all gotten into these habits with
Yeah.
our phones that are really
And if I have to
unhealthy.
set an alarm, to wake up, like, I set it, I will then turn it on. I'll set it loud and up, right, so that I can hear it
You'll hear it from where it's
from
charging.
where it is. And I do have an old-fashioned alarm clock too if I needed that, like, when we travel, but,
Right.
because again, in a hotel room, I don't put the phone next to me either.
Well,
So,
that's a lot to think about, Carrie.
I know I'm
Thank
out
you for
I know
sharing that with us.
I think I do sit in a unique position.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, but yeah, I feel so different. It's like, yeah, my
Well, good for
sleep,
you.
my mental health, I don't wake up having panic attack like I did. I definitely would
I can
have lots
understand that,
of
or
panic going on
for
over
me, you fall asleep and you wonder,
that
"Oh, did this
phone.
one come home yet?" Or did this, whatever it is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what you say is true. If there is an emergency at 3:15 in the morning, what are you doing about it?
Yep.
Unless, I mean,
Yeah, I
we
get it.
also
I
don't
do.
want to parent
I
out of fear.
totally. And again, if there was an emergency that,
Yep,
I don't wanna go
I'll
to the
find you.
future to think
Yes.
about that, but
No, we don't have to go there. We
I
don't
would
have
have to deal
to
with that would be a consequence I would have to deal with.
we don't
So,
have to
but
catastrophize.
no, we're not going to. All right.
Okay, so lots to think about. We
Yeah.
talked about a bunch of different topics today. Let
Yeah.
us know what you think.
Yeah, we wanna hear, so please reach out to us at info@parentcoachesunleashed.com. Give us your lessons learned, or maybe your non-negotiables, or something you did when your kids were younger that you would now do differently, or questions that you have, or future topics you want us to cover. So we would love to hear from you. So thank you as always for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.